So the Mario movie released like a week ago, and it's proven to be successful. Very successful. Like, topping Frozen 2 in best opening weekend for a movie box office successful. That's an enormous achievement for what is essentially Nintendo's first big movie. And if there's one thing I know about successes, is that they're gonna want to make more. I feel we are about to enter a golden age of Nintendo movies, especially with the newly created Nintendo Pictures. While nothing is confirmed yet, I would not be surprised if we received more Nintendo movies in the future, and see more of our favorite characters voiced by a Hollywood cast in the big screen. So let's do something fun. Let's predict what movies Nintendo will be making next. And, just to make things a bit more interesting, let's predict the cast as well, of who will be playing these iconic characters. Some disclaimer, this isn't anything official. Nintendo may not make any of these movies, to be honest. These are just predictions, something that I think would be fun to do now that we know that the Mario movie is a success. Also, warning, there's going to be some spoilers of the Mario movie if you haven't seen it yet, so be warned. Anyways, on to the predictions. So, obvious, a Mario movie sequel is going to be in the works. I'm actually hearing rumors that it's already in production now, but even if there were no rumors, like, this movie made so much money, of course a sequel's going to happen. I believe it could involve more adventures of Mario, Luigi, and Peach in the Mushroom Kingdom, along with some new characters, Yoshi, who was revealed in the end credits. Bowser could return as a villain. We could also have the addition of 2 new villains, Wario and Waluigi, and the 3 could work together in order to take over the Mushroom Kingdom. This movie could also feature characters like Daisy, and possibly even Rosalina, to help save the day. At least I think Rosalina is a major possibility, with the fact that psychotic Luma got a lot of screen time. So for the predicted voice cast, I feel no one would be more perfect to voice Wario than the trash man himself, Danny DeVito. His previous work and everything he's done seems like a natural fit for Wario, and genius casting. Waluigi I wasn't sure of before, but honestly I feel John Mulaney would do a fantastic job. He played Jack Horner in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish really well, and I feel that snarkiness and sliminess could work well as Waluigi, while adding some nice sarcastic comedy to it. Daisy is someone I feel who can be royal, but also a bit of a contrast to Peach. I feel like you could do with someone like Amy Poehler or Kristen Wiig, but I feel my prediction for her would be Emma Stone. I don't know, I feel she would make a good contrast to Anya Taylor-Joy's Peach, and it would work well, but would determine a lot on how they develop her character. As for Rosalina, I feel we need someone big to play the role, and that someone would be Scarlett Johansson. A bit more of a serious role compared to the other princesses, but based on her performance in Marvel and countless other movies, I think she could do it. Then there's Yoshi. I really don't want them to have a speaking voice. Can he just sound like Yoshi? If there's any character that I want to just, not talk in this movie, it's Yoshi. Just treat him like a pet. He's cute. He would make marketing material. You don't need to give Yoshi a voice. Just let Yoshi be Yoshi. I don't care if you market him as much as the minions. Just don't give him a voice. And if you do give him a voice, make it Frank Welker at least, because he's good with animal voices. The next movie I think is an obvious choice is a Donkey Kong spinoff. The movie showed off a lot of Donkey Kong. The Kong Army, Cranky Kong, heck, you even see Diddy, Dixie, and Chunky Kong in the audience. There's Chunky! He's not dead! With all this built into the Mario movie, it's safe to say that a Donkey Kong spinoff movie is entirely possible. We even have an easy villain, King K. Rool. He could be stealing all the bananas the Kongs have, or trying to blow up the land of the Kongs on DK Island, and Donkey Kong forms the DK Crew to stop him. While new characters include a more developed DK Crew and Kremlins, you can also have characters like Funky Kong and even Candy Kong as well. You can even have more of a dynamic between Donkey and Cranky Kong, as their issues didn't get totally solved in the last movie. Obviously, Seth Rogen and Fred Armisen will return as Donkey and Cranky Kong. As for Diddy Kong, I don't think a lot of people would pick this choice. I can see the logic for this. I think they would go with Kevin Hart as Diddy. Say what you want about the actor, I feel the voice would fit well, and there would be some good banter between him and Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong. Dixie is a bit trickier, but I would feel Kristen Schaal would be a wonderful choice. She kicked so much butt as the voice of Mabel in Gravity Falls and Louise in Bob's Burgers. and may not be as well known as her Hollywood counterparts, but I feel would be a nice fit and bring some energy and uniqueness to the role. Chunky Kong would be played by Rob Funches. I really think he could play this role extremely well and fit right in with the Kongs. I feel like Funky and Candy could be smaller roles, maybe even cameos. But if they were to get a voice, we can put Funky Kong as someone cool. Perhaps Wayne Brady, not as big of a celebrity as the others, but still well known. Not just in Whose Line Is It Anyway, but also stuff like the Cuphead show where he voices King Dice. Candy Kong, again, like Daisy, I feel it would really determine on how they write her character. As with Candy Kong, you don't have too much to work with. Maybe you can have a newcomer for her? Yeah, why not? Try cast someone new as Candy. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I don't really know what to do with her, to be honest. I'm sorry. Now, the big casting question is who's gonna play King Roll. King Roll. Now, the big casting question is who's gonna play King K. Rool. And my number one choice would be Tim Curry. I feel he would be bombastic, funny, and play the character with class, but also being threatening enough to carry the role. Tim Curry is retired from live action stuff, but still does voiceover like Over the Garden Wall. So there is a possibility that could happen. If it didn't, however, I do have a backup plan, but it's more of a personal choice that I don't think is going to happen at all. I'm a fan of the Cornetto trilogy, and Simon Pegg would make an interesting K. Rool, as long as his Kremling underling was voiced by Nick Frost. I want to see these two in an animated feature together. They're funny, they have great chemistry. Make it happen, please. Luigi was a shining moment in the Mario movie, and in my opinion, didn't get that much screen time that he deserved. So, much like a lot of people, including Charlie Day himself, I want to see a Luigi's Mansion movie. He even makes a joke about it when you call the number on the website for the plumbers. So I definitely see Luigi in his own movie. It'll be similar to the games, both him and Mario get tricked to entering a mansion, or they explore the one featured in the first movie, and Mario gets kidnapped by King Boo. Luigi runs into Professor Egad, and it's up to them to work together and suck up all the ghosts in the mansion to rescue Mario. We all know Charlie Day is going to reprise his role in Luigi, so that leaves two new roles in the film, Professor Egad and King Boo, both of which I had no problems casting. We have two great choices. Egad will be played by Christopher Lloyd, as I feel he's kinda well known for playing the character of a mad scientist. He's kind of done it before. And if there's anyone good at explaining ghost technology and making it sound exciting and plausible, it's Lloyd. As for King Boo, I would love if Alex Brightman played the role. Which, if you don't know him, he played Beetlejuice in the Broadway show. His sleazy, ghoulish voice would be perfect for King Boo, and I can see him doing a great job of taunting the Mario Bros. You could also throw in silent characters like Polterpup, and maybe actors making cameos to play the ghosts, such as Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd from Ghostbusters. God, I really want this film to be real now. We talked about all things Mario, so let's go something completely different. Metroid. While I still wanted this to be animated, I feel it would have to have a completely different tone than the past three movies we mentioned. Not entirely dry of comedy, but more atmosphere and cold, similar to the Metroid games themselves. Samus Aran would explore the planet Zebes, trying her best to revive the parasitic Metroid organisms that were stolen by Ridley and the Space Pirates. And she would lose her equipment and be stranded on there, doing what she can to get those Metroids and find a way home, while dealing with Ridley, Mother Brain, and all the hostile creatures of the planet. Again, you would have to do a lot of visual storytelling compared to the others, but it could totally be done. As for the cast, there's three roles I could think of for this movie: Samus, Ridley, and Mother Brain. You probably could have more in, but we would have to really dive through the Metroid franchise, and sadly, I've only played like one game. This may be a common choice, but I feel the first actress Hollywood would pick would be Brie Larson. She's well known as Captain Marvel, and she herself has stated she wanted to play the character, even dressing up as her for 1 year for Halloween. I think she could do it. Even if it wasn't live action, I think she could still bring the role to life. Why not? Ridley is a bit trickier, as Ridley is a menace and needs more of a snaring and snarky and even terrifying tone to go with that design. William Dafoe. I feel he has a great balance of being snarky and terrifying, and maybe even throw some laughs for the character to antagonize Samus. Something about him and his terrifying voice could really bring Ridley to life, and scare the crap out of all the kids who decide to come see this movie. Now, as for Mother Brain, I think an interesting choice would be a legend in the sci-fi horror film world and industry, Sigourney Weaver. It would be incredibly awesome and a cool Easter egg to Alien to see her as the role of Mother Brain. Plus, you could do some really cool CGI and voice filters to match with her just to make it more terrifying. I really see Metroid as a sci-fi horror movie, even if it is for kids. And finally, my last prediction, at least for today, a Legend of Zelda movie. This is something a lot of people want, and if Mario broke the records in the box office, I imagine Zelda would break it even more. The question is, what would the story be? As there are many different incarnations of Link and Zelda and adventures in times throughout Hyrule. There are a lot of games they could base the movie off, but I say two likely options would be Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time. I say Ocarina of Time is more likely as it could be used as sort of an origin story for Link, as everyone is more familiar with it. Breath of the Wild could work too, but I feel that would be better for like a sequel or a future movie, alternate timeline. I feel like you would start with Ocarina of Time and then build on the Breath of the Wild, possibly later. Link finds out his destiny and must save the princess and Hyrule from the clutches of Ganondorf. Pretty typical Zelda stuff. Since I'm not sure which game they would base the movie off, I'm going to focus on casting just the main three characters: Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. Link's casting may be another cliche choice, but I'm choosing Elijah Wood. He has a big enough name from another fantasy franchise, and I feel he could voice the role of Link pretty well and do it in a way that would fit the tone of the Zelda series, and treating it seriously and with dignity, even if there were some jokes thrown in. Ganondorf was also not that hard of a choice for me. I know a lot of people suggested James Earl Jones to play the role, but to me it would feel too much like Darth Vader, and that's way too iconic, almost enough to be distracting. Now the person I would choose? Keith David, no questions asked. His voice can be bone-chilling, and he would have no problems in bringing Ganondorf to life. Not to mention he's played a lot of villains in the past, including Princess and the Frog. I could see him playing Ganondorf, terrorizing Hyrule, and laughing maniacally as he schemes to take over Hyrule and take the Triforce. Finally, there's Zelda herself. And this one was the most difficult of all. She is arguably the face of the franchise. I tried really hard to think of an actress that would somehow be able to voice Zelda accurately and entertainingly. But if I had to cast anyone, and I still could change this, Emma Watson is the first one that comes to mind. I feel she would get the regal attitude of Zelda along with the emotions behind the character. It would take a lot of direction, sure, and it would be very hard not to compare her to other roles she's played, but honestly, I'm not so sure who else. I've literally spent days trying to cast Zelda in particular. She really is iconic where her role can make or break the movie. And I don't envy the casting director of this film because they are going to have a heck of a time. She most likely would be fighting alongside Link if it was Breath of the Wild, or having her play her role in Ocarina of Time. It really depended on what they were trying to do in the movie. And throw in a cameo for Zelda Williams. I'm not sure what role she could play, but I would want her to be in something. Robin Williams named her after the franchise, for crying out loud. I feel it would be a disservice not to have her in something. Preferably a major role, but something. And those are my predictions for Nintendo Pictures and who will be cast in them. This was fun, but also really hard. Like, I do not envy any of the casting directors who have to cast these movies in the future. A lot of people may or may not be happy with some of these choices, let alone the actors themselves, how they have to live up to these iconic characters. It puts a lot of pressure on everybody. I feel like I'm gonna get some hate just for predicting these cast choices. Still, it was fun to do, and it got me really excited for all these future movies. I really hope these movies all get released, but I know they're going to take time. I see people on Twitter expecting new movies to come as soon as next year. No, that's not gonna happen. They are working on these and they are taking their time. This movie, the Mario movie, took years to make. Years. If they try to like shell it out like they do the Marvel movies, we're not gonna get as quality of a product as we would. They are gonna take their time. I want to see more Nintendo movies succeed. I want these iconic characters to be seen on the big screen and see their stories told through multimedia projects. And whether these casting choices are accurate or not, the important thing is that we are seeing these iconic characters on the big screen. Like I said, we're entering a golden age of Nintendo Pictures. And after the success of the Mario movie, regardless of who's cast and what, I cannot wait to see what's next. These are a few of my predictions, but I had ideas for other films like Star Fox, Kid Icarus, and a lot more. Maybe I'll make a part 2 of this video does well. I have some interesting ideas of casting, to say the least. What are your future Nintendo movie predictions, and who do you think should be cast in what role? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the like button, and stay tuned for more videos. And I'll see you when they talk about the Donkey Kong spinoff, where the whole movie is cast by Seth Rogen.